And these awards are to salute CEOs' commitment to innovation and advancing interfaith understanding and peace worldwide. There's many, many stories of what business leaders are doing to help promote people coming together rather than dividing. And I could give many, many stories of that today, but I won't. But instead, I'll encourage you to find CEOs that you can nominate to receive this recognition. There are many people with great character who are developing bonds of trust. Just one example, I was with a billionaire from Lebanon, Fuad Makhzoumi, who does a pipe business, but he set up a foundation to train people in Lebanon in job skills. And he said at the very foundation, it's not for his community, he's a Sunni Muslim, and it's for Lebanese people. It's for Maronites, it's for Shia, it's for Druze, it's for everyone living in Lebanon. And he's helped to train 400,000 people in a country of 4 million. 1 out of every 10 people has been trained through the work of his foundation. So this is a businessman promoting economic development and peace between people. Well, religious freedom also relates to gender equality. Where there's religious freedom, you have the freedom for different faith communities to rise up. I'm working on an article that will come out next week at the World Economic Forum with a faith leader who's a woman, Joanne Lyon, who's the head of the Wesleyan Church worldwide, and I are writing an article of how religious freedom helps women. Religious freedom, by its very nature, promotes equality, promotes understanding, and allows people from within faith communities even to develop diversity there. Let me give one data point on gender empowerment, or I'll give a lot of data points and then focus on one. So religious freedom, in a book that I wrote with Roger Finke, The Price of Freedom Denied, we found that religious freedom is highly correlated with many, many other social goods. So these are different things that are very closely related to religious freedom. The most closely related are political freedom, freedom of conscience, civil liberties, but the fourth strongest relationship to religious freedom is gender empowerment. So let me give just one example, a data example of why that might be. In 14% of countries worldwide, girls are discriminated against in education by the policies of the governments. So that's a problem. So is this better or worse in countries that have low religious freedom? Well, the data show, and I'll show you a little data here, is that where you have high government restrictions on religious freedom, countries that have high government restrictions on religious freedom, girls are twice as likely to suffer discrimination in the education system as countries where there are low restrictions on religious freedom. So religious freedom helps the education system be more equitable. But in countries where you have religion-related violence, social restrictions on religious freedom, girls are 4 times less likely to receive an education as in countries where religious freedom is the norm. So religious freedom this is, again, unpacking some of that correlation. So where you have religious freedom, you have faith-based actors standing up and making the case for why each person is created in God's image. And each person includes male, female, feminine, masculine people. So these are a faith-based argument. Well, actions on ending poverty. This is #1 social development goal. So I said I'd give a little definition of religious freedom, and it's not quite a definition. I think it is, but it's technically not. But why is religious freedom important? You could answer that in many ways, but I think its importance is that it sets people of faith free to do good. Where you have religious freedom, then faith groups are set free to do the things that drive them to love their neighbor. Well, the #1 development goal is ending poverty in all its forms everywhere. That's goal #1. for the new Sustainable Development Goals. Faith-based actors, when given the freedom to act, address this. Recently at the World Bank that Catherine was mentioning about, they had a meeting of global religious leaders and faith-based organizations, and they issued a call to end extreme poverty by 2030, motivated because they care about people. Not because poverty is an economic problem, but poverty is there's spiritual poverty and there's economic poverty, and faith-based leaders try to address both of these. I'll say more about that. So how do faith groups do this? Well, in Islam, in the Quran, from their wealth take alms so that you might purify and sanctify them. So zakat, or the giving of alms, is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. So it's built right into the DNA of many faith groups. And these are percentages of people in a survey, a nationwide survey we did at the Pew Research Center a few years ago, asking, do you practice zakat? Do you give alms to the poor and the needy? And throughout Southeast Europe, Central Asia, South Asia, the large majority of Muslims every year are doing this. And then you go to the Middle East and Sub-Saharan Africa, and the overwhelming majority of Muslims are giving money to the poor. This is hundreds of billions of dollars given to the poor. And that is, the median is about 77% of Muslims worldwide practice zakat. That's a lot of people giving a lot of money to help others. That's one example of how faith contributes to ending poverty and caring for your neighbor. And I appreciated your story of that sensitivity of wanting to give, being afraid that you can't, but really it's built right into the faith. Well, it was mentioned about Pope Francis's recent encyclical. This is the Cardinal from Tagle from the Philippines, and he, echoing Pope Francis's call, just said an economy that excludes kills. He made this statement to a huge gathering of business leaders in the Philippines. Recently, Cardinal Tagle was elected as the head of Sharon's counterpart in the Catholic Church, Caritas International. And that's a focus of the church. Well, there's other faith traditions. Evangelical Christians have been working in Africa, for instance, for many years in aid and development. And a statement by one of the leaders was that, you know, the old proverb that if you give somebody a fish, they eat for a day. If you teach them to fish, they can eat for a lifetime. He said, we're way past that. They already know how to fish. The problem is the structure, knowing how to work in the economy, how to make things succeed, how to do a business, how to know what education to get, how to know what job to get that's going to be good and dignified. Well, there's a group of evangelicals that are working in an association called Poverty Cure in 144 countries. And I'll just read this. It's an interesting statement. Poverty Cure exists to facilitate the global conversation on poverty and equip its participants with resources that promote lasting enterprise-based solutions that affirm the role of individuals and families in turning around their situations. Every human bears the image of God, and we're committed to support our network partners as they work to release that divine spark in communities worldwide. Well, let me give one example from, it's not an evangelical example, but it mirrors some of this trend from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormons as they're often known. So in the Mormon faith, there's a strong emphasis on the teaching of self-reliance, or I think that's a funny term. It means being empowered to help yourself, help your neighbor, help your family, be able to succeed and be a contributing member of society. And they have developed a program that helps people start a business, get a job, or get the education you need so you can get a job or start a business. They do this around the world for their own communities of faith. Now, as I've looked at this, and last year they they did more than 1 million trainings on this. 1 million trainings on this. Since I've looked at that, I said, boy, there's a lot that other faith communities could learn from what they're doing. They're doing this for their own group. Well, why did I get interested in this? Well, one reason is that they don't just do a jobs and business training, but they have a whole program where you're looking at how God has created you and what are your strengths, your weaknesses, both physically, your temporal side, but the spiritual side. And then they have spiritual principles that go with each of these courses, 12-week courses, to help people get on the path to being empowered as people. Well, I've been able to work with the church and also with the largest Catholic university in the UK. I'm Catholic, St. Mary's University, and we're taking the Mormon program and turning it into an interfaith program, and called Empowerment Plus Interfaith Initiative, and we're piloting it in London in a very diverse community where you walk down and you have a Sikh temple, Islamic center, a Mormon church, Catholic churches, Buddhist churches, Hindu temples, and piloting it there. And part of our process, and this is to take, let me go back. So in all of these, there's many Mormon scriptures from the Book of Mormon and the Doctrine and Covenants and other Mormon sources. So what we've done is we've taken those Mormon scriptures and tried to find the interfaith principle underneath them that helps people become empowered. And we looked at them. So one of the very basic ones, there's more than 50 of these in these materials, is that it's my purpose to provide for my saints. That's from a Mormon scripture called Doctrine and Covenants. So then the next thing we did was said, well, what in the New Testament relates to that? So, and we know that God causes all things to work together for good of those who love God, from Romans, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Some New Testament verses. And then working with an imam in London, from the Quran, God is he who gives all sustenance, Lord of power, steadfast forever. And also, there is no moving creature on earth, but its sustenance depends on God. He knows the time and place of its definite abode. All is clear, and its temporary deposit. All is clear, a clear record. Well, we're carrying this out. The next we'll do the Torah. We'll also do Buddhist scriptures, Sikh scriptures, Hindu scriptures. And so that's the work in progress that we're doing. So taking something that was developed from one faith tradition and helping relate it to other faith traditions. Very exciting project. And so then we pull out from the materials, instead of having anybody's scripture in the materials, we have a faith principle. The Lord is loving and provides abundantly. So that's our project. It's under development. It's a very practical way that we're developing a model, a project that then can be used anywhere in the world freely by other faith groups to help their own communities to address the both spiritual poverty and temporal or physical poverty people may be finding themselves in. So again, thank you for organizing this, Brian, Cole, and it's an excellent forum to discuss these ideas, and I look forward to talking more with others today. Thank you.